Imagine getting a call from your terrified 10-year-old daughter, saying her grandparents just drove away and left her completely alone. That's exactly what happened to me, while I was lying in a hospital bed. And when I confronted my in-laws, their excuse made my blood boil. So I made sure they would regret ever abandoning her. If you've ever dreamed of seeing cruel people get the justice they deserve, hit that like button and subscribe. Because what I'm about to share isn't just a story about betrayal, it's about protecting the people we love most and serving cold, sweet revenge. I'll expand the Reddit post into a vivid, emotionally charged arc. The day everything happened, I was in the hospital for treatment. Nothing life-threatening, but serious enough that I couldn't care for my daughter for a short while. Naturally, I trusted her grandparents, my husband's parents, to step up. After all, family looks out for each other, right? At least, that's what I believed. The moment my phone buzzed with her name flashing across the screen, I knew something was wrong. Her voice trembled. Mom, Grandma and Grandpa just drove away. I'm alone. Please come home. My heart dropped. I remember gripping the hospital sheets, my pulse racing. I wanted to scream. My baby, 10 years old, scared out of her mind, left completely alone. I called my in-laws immediately. And their response, not panic, not regret, not even guilt. Instead, my mother-in-law's voice was ice cold. Tina, she needs to toughen up. She's not a baby anymore. That line cut through me like a knife. They didn't see her tears. They didn't hear her shaking voice. They just decided that abandoning a child was some twisted lesson. From that moment on, I knew two things. One, I would never trust them again. And two, they were going to learn the consequences of treating my daughter like disposable baggage. For weeks after, I noticed how shaken my daughter was. She'd ask, Mom, are you going to leave too? It broke me. No 10-year-old should carry that kind of fear. I hugged her, promised her I'd always protect her, but inside, I was furious. Here's the thing, revenge isn't about rage. It's about justice. And I knew exactly how to deliver it. See, my in-laws had always prided themselves on being pillar grandparents. In their social circle, they bragged about family values and doting on their granddaughter. They loved the spotlight at school events, the holiday gatherings, the photos where they looked like the perfect grandparents. But behind closed doors, they treated my daughter like she was an inconvenience. This abandonment was just the worst example. So I pulled every ounce of strength into my plan. I started by cutting off their access. No more babysitting. No unsupervised visits. And when people asked, I told the truth. Not exaggerated, not sugar-coated. Just the truth. At school pickup, another mom asked why the grandparents weren't around anymore. I smiled and said, oh, after they abandoned her alone, I couldn't risk it. Her jaw dropped. Word spread fast. Every community event, every church gathering, people looked at them differently. They couldn't brag about being amazing grandparents anymore, because everyone knew the reality. And here's the kicker, when they demanded to see her, I laid it out plainly. You left her terrified and alone. You said she needs to toughen up. Well, now you need to toughen up, because you're not part of her life anymore. The silence on the other end of that conversation was glorious. They begged, they pleaded, they tried to guilt-trip me with lines like, but she's our only grandchild. But I didn't budge. The image of my little girl sobbing into the phone that night was carved into my memory. No apology could erase it. The final blow came during a family gathering months later. They tried to act as if nothing had happened, bringing gifts and fake smiles. I stopped them at the door. My daughter clung to me, her eyes wide. I looked them straight in the eye and said, she deserves people who protect her, not people who abandon her. You made your choice. And now, so have I. And I shut the door. The ripple effect of that decision crushed them more than any screaming match could. Their friends stopped looking at them as model grandparents. They weren't invited to community events. And worst of all, for them, my daughter thrived without them. Her confidence grew. She smiled again. She finally understood that love isn't conditional, and family isn't defined by blood, it's defined by actions. Meanwhile, my in-laws. They sat on the outside, watching the very bond they destroyed flourish without them. In the end, revenge wasn't about punishing them, it was about protecting my daughter and showing her that people who betray you don't get to stay in your life. Justice, sometimes, is just shutting the door and refusing to open it again. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and tell me in the comments, what would you have done if someone abandoned your child? Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, where karma always comes knocking.